I'm going to keep it as simple as possible. I enjoy making agent tier lists. I'm not from Radiant rank #1. I don't care at all about pro play. Clove wasn't played in pro, yet we know Clove is busted as shit. So I don't like focusing on a lot of things that other agent tier lists do. However, what I do enjoy doing is talking to Radiants, looking at other fellow solo queue, duo queue players, and focusing these agent tier lists on the average player. You and I who queue up rank, we don't want to search in the million lineups. We don't want to search if this map is good for this agent. Instead, we want a general tier list on who to main, who to learn, and how to expand our skills. And I just like giving my opinion. I like yapping. I try to make it as informed as possible, and that's what we're doing today. Agent tier list. Let's get it. Now, what makes this super fun is that it's obviously after the huge October patch where everyone changed in Valorant, and furthermore, I delayed it just a little bit more because we're also going to talk about Harbor and his placement, but he's going to come at the very end because I'm delaying this video so I get a chance to play him, form opinions, and then tell you guys. But all right, let's do it. Starting from the bottom and working our way to the top, the D tier section. I'm gonna kickstart with Tejo. Bro, he was once upon a time super powerful, but he was literally powerful for the fact that he was overtuned. Riot then removed that overtuning and he fell off a cliff. His ult, there's just way better ults to take space, find control. I really believe, even though you get to choose where those rockets go, they're not strong enough to flush out areas, right? Obviously, once they were nerfed, they're just not menacing enough to do shit, bro. Like, they do not have substantial impact for any other player to be scared of them, and if we don't fear them, then he loses his strength of being able to place them and take control using them. Tejo himself needs a buff or needs some amount of changes. Not everyone will agree with me here, but I genuinely just don't think he's strong at all, literally at all. The next agent in the D tier is Viper. Viper is someone, a lot of people will disagree just because why? Just if Icebox is in rotation or some certain map is in rotation, all of a sudden Viper becomes a must pick. I don't care. Pick Viper for a single map out of all the other maps in the game. As a whole, as an agent in the game, that makes her weak. If she's only good on one map that's in the map pool, that is not a strong agent. That is a D tier agent. They are not viable anywhere else because ever since those nerfs and all the changes, right, didn't address the most crucial things, which is funny because similar to Tejo, that orb not being able to be repicked up, removing the ability for players to show skill expression on an agent really can hinder them. And this is what we saw with Viper, on top of her numbers just being a little bit undertuned, because like I've said a million times, if it's not scary to, let's say, push her smoke, or if you can just leave a site, she becomes underwhelming. She doesn't have that presence that I believe a lot of other agents have. Because of that, she's D tier. Next up, we have Astra. Astra is in D tier for a little bit of a different reason. I actually believe that her kit itself as a base, meaning all the abilities you can throw out, can have purpose. The stun, the suck, the smoke, even the ult, I do believe they actually all have a great basis. I wouldn't want, let's say, Astra reworked at any point, but I would believe that her numbers need some tuning because she also got hit again during the October update when she was already weak, which just kicked an agent while she was down. Because the cooldowns are literally abysmal on those abilities, you can't play that 3D chess that Astra was supposed to be, right? Going into your astral form and being able to support your team as if you're playing 3D chess and showcasing executes with your team is already hindered. That fact alone is hindered. It is hard to execute on Astra individually, but then that's the next part on a list focused on solo duo queue and all the ranks in Valorant. It's also hard to execute with your team. Trying to IGL on your team where you're placing your smokes or your stars, sorry, and what you're gonna do, and then expressing how they should execute is one of the only ways Astra's good, right? Like, plant on my ping here, make sure to check this corner, I've got you on the other two corners. Once you plant here, my suck can pull them off, we can then play post plant, you IGL all this, you communicate, then you execute. Sure, Astra can climb up a bit, but because she's already undertuned on top of the fact you got to do all that, in my opinion, she's in the D tier. The last agent in the D tier category is going to be the one and only Breach. I saved him last because he teeters between D and C. I think Breach, again, the problem is that he can be a little bit map specific, but I still think Breach can be really annoying to fight. That's the thing, I've always said it, and I think a really good Breach can do substantial damage. However, I feel overall as an initiator, he's underwhelming because he doesn't have much ability to sort of adapt to what's going on in the game. Like a lot of other initiators can just do more, and when placed in different positions will have more options on what they can do next. On top of that, while every agent does benefit from communication, again, Breach doesn't have any self-sustainability in my opinion. Like I understand you can flash stun one person, really flush out a corner or flush out an area, and he does initiate. Kind of the definition, if you think of his entire kit, rolling thunder, blah, 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 it's to roll up on that site and initiate as hard as possible. But he does suffer, in my opinion, from being a bit two-dimensional, and I still think he's best used when you're setting up your team for stuff. And when we think of the general pop, we think of solo queue. I don't like any agent that is anywhere near super reliant on having your team help you, especially in solo queue. And I don't know, if you're gonna throw out that stun and throw out that flash, it is best used to set up someone else playing off of it, right? He isn't a duelist. Like a Phoenix can flash and peek and secure that kill based off your own knowledge, your own positioning, and then make calls after that, which is just way more adaptable, especially in this meta after all those nerfs, than Breach, which you're gonna want your team to play off your abilities. He has a place, but I do think it's in D tier still. Next up, we're going to be entering the C tier, and leading that C tier is going to be Vyse, which is crazy, man. This tier list is so different than the last due to the patch, due to how the meta has shifted, but it is kind of fun. It is kind of exciting. I guess not to Vyse mains. Vyse really got hit a ton, really got hit hard in the last patch, and one of the biggest things is just that blind, like just being able to shoot the blind and then the blind doesn't give info. Like that blind was one of the most fun things to play on Vyse, and I didn't enjoy playing Vyse, but so many people originally, when we thought Vyse was weak way back in the day, picked up Vyse because they're like, but that flash is strong, you know what I mean? And then they played with that flash to take space. They played with that flash to set themselves up. They played that flash to gather info, and it made Vyse really an interesting character. It made Vyse versatile. And I know this is weird because I'm talking about the past and what hypes her, but honestly, the nerf to the Vyse and taking all that away was enough, because the rest of Vyse was only to complement that, and they worked because she had that really strong signature and everything else complemented it, and you were able to keep with that map control. But everything else, that ult, that wall, those vines aren't enough on their own to make her super strong. She's not straight D tier. She's not useless because those abilities are already pretty strong. But going from C to A is as easy as having one super strong ability, and they took that super strong ability and threw it on the ground and then stepped on it and then buried it. And I could keep going, but you sort of get the idea here. Next up, same idea, bro. My heart goes out, but Gekko is coming down to C. I think I put him B and A historically, but Gekko got like just side smacked. And I really don't think it has to be a big section. Gekko individually, each ability is still good. Seriously. Wingman being able to plant is still crucial, okay? Wingman also being Dublin as a diffuse or stun, having that blind, having that goo for post plant, having that alt. All of Gekko himself is still good. I like all his abilities, and I was between putting him C and B, so I should be as honest as possible, but the numbers really hit the guy hard. Like, even if I'm fighting a Gekko, which is why it's fun, why I like making these tier lists, because they're very personal as well. When I'm fighting a Gekko, he's just not as threatening. I haven't been hit by an ult in forever because of that nerf. Shooting his abilities is just so much quicker, but that's only one section. A good Gekko just has to be more thoughtful to hit his abilities. That's actually good. That is Riot fixing the utility spam. Good. But then the cooldown nerfs, oh man, like the big thing that made Gekko really come together is being able to pick all that shit up and go again. That's what really made him strong, and I think the cooldown nerfs were just a little too strong. I think it's good overall because we want less utility spam, but maybe tuning some of them to be a little bit quicker would go a long way. He still has his presence. I love the fact, like, just because of Wingman being able to defuse and plant, he has some presence, and almost Wingman alone would put him to B in my opinion, because it makes a huge difference being able to have him plant as you flood the site with your team. That is really good. It's good to have him defuse, and the enemies cannot ignore it. They have to peek, they have to kill him. I like the pressure that Wingman brings, and that alone, again, almost B tier, but I think his numbers actually tuned him a little too low so that he dropped to C. But that's my opinion, and I'm open to changing it because I'm on the edge with that one. Next up, I just gotta say it, unless you're smurfing and you're gonna give me some free RR, okay? Listen, Reyna is C tier, not D, but not B, A, or S. There are so much better duelists in the game, and I am a broken record. Most high ranking players do agree with me on this one. I'd always double check my take here, but it's very simple. Unless you're smacking your shots, unless you're hitting your shots, you're one-tapping everyone, your abilities will not have presence. If you're having an off aim day, you will be throwing the game. It's just a fact, right? If you're having an off aim day, that flash is not good enough to set up your team. You don't get to smoke and dash in. You don't get to like waylay clear and jump out for free. You don't get a TP for fast rotates. There's so many better duelists who can do so many better things and just have so much better presence. And unless you are smurfing and you're just going to one-tap and be the raid boss, Reyna does not have a place. Like, she's just not good. She's borderline D tier, but it's just that if you're so good, you can single-handedly carry, and that niche is enough to bring her up to C, and she can kind of be placed anywhere on this list depending on your individual skill. But she's just too niche. She's just too niche, and I would like to see someone play anything but Reyna, because if Reyna's not fragging out, she's lost all her use case. Let's say I'm playing Yoru and I'm doing well, great. I'm fragging out, I'm taking control, I'm still stomping everyone. If I'm not doing great, fine. TP, clone, flash, setup, presence. That's just an example, but all the other duelists and all the other agents can basically have that argument to them. Reyna cannot. So I don't think she's a good agent. While Reyna has remained similar, a lot of agents have changed, as you've seen, and Cypher is one of them. If you told me that one day Cypher will go from like A or S to C, you just like, yeah, I'd be tripping. I'd be a bit like, no, that's not gonna happen. But Cypher as a whole got so many nerfs so consistently, even before the big patch, right? Like just having the camera, like you just know when the camera's looking at you, so that like before, you know, you pop out the camera, you don't want to ping them, okay, you can still know where they are, and they would still hear it, and people would look around. But now just knowing a camera's looking at you, knowing that, you know, you can see it from a little bit further, everything about him got hit. And then it was just the nail in the coffin that the trips have to wind up before revealing, not being able to really feel like you're locking down a site. You know, you could really solo lock a site before, like they'd push, you get a pick off the trip because you'd see them through the smoke. Setting up really sneaky trips was very rewarding. Now it's less rewarding by a lot, and his ability to sort of stop a push and really lock down a site was hit so hard, and Cypher was never the strongest on attack. We know that. We know for what reasons. He's supposed to be a defense-sided main, and they took a lot of that defense-sided strength from him. And because of that, he's lost so much presence. He's lost so much value. He still has informational value, but in a list about solo queuing or duo queuing, I think you can understand me when I say he got hit by a truck. Next up in C tier, we got Brimstone. Now, Brimstone, I gotta say straight up, he is still a reliable agent, and a lot of things are very straightforward with Brimstone. But in a world where you have Clove and Omen who can also put down smokes openly, Brimstone's really biggest thing is that iPad and be able to control where smokes go out. But at the same time, so many other agents completely control where their smokes come out and then have so much other utility in their kit. And to be honest, Valorant has shifted in a way where self-sustain and being able to make your own plays makes a huge difference. And Brimstone is just all about setting up the team. I don't know. I personally, as a duelist main, as someone who likes self-sufficiency, I've been enjoying the newer Valorant, less utility spam and more strength to agents who are self-sustainable. But like, I'm solo duo only, right? Like if you're a 5-stack, you want like more 3D, 4D chess, you want more strategies. I would say obviously it's been hindered a bit, which is why the tier list reflects this a lot. But with that being said, that's the thing. A lot of the self-sufficient agents can also set up team, IGL, and do a lot. So when Brimstone is here sort of just left holding the bag in his hand, he can throw down the smokes a lot of other people can, and then I can speed up the team or throw out a molly. It's a little bit weak. His ult, his post plant is strong. You know, just being able to just smack that down very easily is really good. And he's okay, and he's a straightforward agent, but he doesn't excel. He just doesn't excel. He's a little bit below average, which is why he didn't get B, but ended up in C. Anything B is just average, solid. Below is underperforming in my opinion. Below average, everything above is, again, overperforming or above average. And I just think he's just a little bit below average, a little too simplistic, doesn't do enough, in my opinion. This next agent I'm pretty conflicted with. I'm actually going to be talking about Chamber. Now, let me explain a little bit why I'm conflicted. I think in a meta, since this is a new meta where operators are a lot stronger due to all the ability nerfs, I think Chamber could be B tier. But the thing is, that's kind of the only thing that I would put him up there for. And a lot of the duelists, I know, kind of rolling my eye, I keep referencing the duelists, but a lot of the duelists can op and TP away or op and dash or, you know, op and mobility to some extent. And because of that, I believe that it's not enough to really make him average or above average as an agent. Chamber still has his place and he's not just like useless or anything like that. I also like how you can just pick him on every map and, you know, play him, but that trip is still weak, and he is kind of like Reyna in the sense where you got to be hitting your shots, and if you're not popping off in order to really put your presence there, like, he also kind of useless, right? Like, he's got the trip, but everything else, you want to shoot and TP, that's fine, but you do want that to land that kill in order to find that value, right? Get that pick. And again, that's really the biggest reason he can teeter a little bit on B with the op being stronger, you being able to shoot and TP out, but that's kind of the only thing. Seriously, that's kind of the only thing. And I actually like Chamber. I like how you can go shotgun, get up close, look for a pick, get out, and then use Headhunter to create distance fights without, you know, throwing your game. So like, I like Chamber, and I think he can be in B, but overall, I think he's just a little bit below average compared to other agents. The next agent we're going to be talking about is Skyie. She's the last agent in the C category. I'm not gonna lie, she never really got her comeback after the countless nerfs that Riot served her. It's a little unfortunate because I think conceptually I like Skyie as an agent. Again, I like the dog for scouting, I like the flashes, I like how you can play Skyie pretty aggressively and somewhat self-sustain. I like how you can heal your team, and I don't mind the ultimate. Yet she falls barely below average, and that's just because genuinely there are other initiators that work better right now. Her numbers are slightly undertuned, and she could go from C to A if they just brought us back a little bit of that old flash, you know what I mean? You know, giving, let's say, some of the info back so that she has that info and you can play off that info. Like right now, we're talking about self-sufficient duelists, and initiators who play info are the strongest. Really, they are the forefront of this current meta. So just like giving her some sort of info a little bit would launch her probably into the A or S tier. So maybe that's why they don't want to do it, because she'd go from a little under average to above average substantially. So they'd probably prefer her be more balanced, a little under average than super strong. And that's okay. That's an okay philosophy. She's still fine. You can still play her. And I like how you can play her on most maps as well. So it's not like a bad agent. It's just C is mainly for the a bit below average to not that great agents right now. With that being said, we finally make it into the B tier category, kickstarting us off with Sage. Now, Sage actually became stronger. Like, Sage is teetering between B and A. That's how strong Sage became. However, that wall nerf, in my opinion, was pretty huge. You can, like, it doesn't do enough to slow down pushes anymore, which is fair. However, they didn't touch the Grim Wall, the way you can play creative, fake wall, etc. And again, I am a genuine believer, especially in solo duo, that skill expression on an agent will allow you to just do more on your own. It'll allow you to change it up more. It'll allow you to catch people off guard more. It'll allow you to adapt more in the game, and it'll allow you to have more fun. Seriously, genuinely, that's what I believe. And I think Sage's skill expression is still there with the wall. The slows are still strong, especially in a meta where, you know, like, Cypher's trip doesn't stop Wayley and Jett, which is a big reason he also fell. I just forgot to mention that. But the slow is more likely to be able to slow down a push, which I think is pretty critical in this current meta. And I think Sage does check that, but I don't believe she's overtuned. And because I don't believe she's overtuned, it's why I put her smack down in the middle in B tier. Moving up from there, we've got Neon. Neon also got hit like a truck with that stamina nerf, and I actually think it really did knock her down from being like an A or S tier duelist. However, I don't think she's below average because she still has her place in being able to, you know, outplay people with this movement, slide, and tap, right? She still has that unique ability to mid-movement be able to delete someone else, and because of that, she remains in that nice niche category, but she's just more like balanced, you know what I mean? Like, the stun is still good, the wall is fine, the stamina reduction just made her go from overtuned to perfectly tuned, and that's sort of where the B category is supposed to lie. Like, okay, there's some strengths, there's some weaknesses, they don't feel oppressive, they're not like some sort of dominant force in the meta, and that's where I think Neon is. I actually genuinely believe she's balanced. No matter how frustrating it is to still get one tapped, she's way less of a menace than she has been before. Next up, someone else I struggled with for a little while is Killjoy. Once upon a time, again like Cypher, you tell me Killjoy won't be A or S tier, I would have laughed, but no, she is now pretty balanced, down the middle. She is probably like, she's still strong. That's the thing. Like, I think she still has presence, but it's really the meta shift that hit her, that really hit her like a truck. The meta shift in which dumping util early on and forcing an execute is really powerful, and she doesn't have the ability to keep up. However, I still think her turret is great for info gathering. She's a little bit more balanced on attack than Cypher is, and she does have really strong setups in my opinion. She's just no longer overtuned. I would just say Killjoy in general is just a solid pick. I don't hate anything about her, and I don't think she's super powerful with anything specific about her either, which is why I just want to put her smack down in B tier. It's just more of a meta shift. It's less about an agent shift. If you already main Killjoy before, you can still find a lot of value. It's just more of a meta shift that knocked her into the B tier. Next up, we got KO, and I'm sorry to be a little bit of a broken record. B tier is the most boring because like KO can be reliable. Like, have you watched Toto, bro? Toto with the setup flashes is fantastic, but what is cool, unlike why I hate it on Breach, is you can pop flash yourself, you can play aggressive. I think Suppress is still strong, even though it is a world where there's less abilities going on. I'm genuinely being honest. Using your abilities early to make strong executes has been where the game is going, and that knife is good at the start. That knife is good at info gathering, which again, I've also mentioned, I think info gathering is very important right now, but you're also able to land that suppress and stop early pushes. I think the ult, again, in a world where there's less utility, is still very strong because you can ult early in order to stop either people stopping you from pushing or to genuinely hinder other people from pushing. You throw that knife, you spot people are pushing your site, you pop that ult, they're not able to spam their util to get an execute in a world where the meta is about using util early. I think he's good. That is why. But I don't think he's overtuned. That's really the big reason I like him in B tier. I think the rest is just solid. Nade is reliable. Flash is reliable. That's about it. I know, B tier is kind of boring because they're just the solid agents that aren't overpowered. Speaking of which, same idea with ISO. Solid agent, not overpowered. I like how it really hits B tier just because it still is like kind of the duelist meta right now. I like as well. I like how you can push in either alone or with your team. It's a very simple setup. Like you don't need to do any sort of complicated communication for people to understand pushing with your wall is smart. You can set yourself up or your team up with your vulnerable. I still don't love his ult till now. I don't know if they're ever going to change it. You know, throwing out that ult for a gamble kill is okay. Make sure you learn to use it to isolate. Let's say it's a 2v1. Throw it out. Either win that 1v1 or have your team push the enemy so that even if you lose, you still secure the round. That type of stuff is fine. And I think he's good in the sense if you're a good aimer and you're popping off, you'll be able to keep refreshing your shield and have that power that you feel as Reyna. But he's not overly strong either. He won't be suppressive. Even if you're popping off, it's less suppressive than even Reyna. But if you're not popping off, you still got some utility to make it count. He is kind of closer, in my opinion, to the bottom of B tier, where he could easily move into C tier, but I still think he's okay. Like, again, B is a little bit boring. B for boring, because he's not oppressive, but he ain't below average either. Next up, we get Deadlock. Deadlock, you know, we've seen her go from D tier up to S tier and now right down smack in the middle. Now, what is cool about Deadlock is she's still pretty potent, and I still think all her utility is okay. I never liked her sound trips ever. Seriously, never. I found them more of a nuisance if I was fighting them. I still don't think they're that great. However, the biggest reason she goes from something like A down to something like B is similar to Killjoy. It is just a meta shift. You can throw down your wall, but in a meta that is very prevalent with a lot of duelists who can jump over your wall, take your wall, even Veto who can TP through your wall, Omen, very potent, can TP through your wall, your result can still go through. Like, there's a lot of the counters to Deadlock's wall have risen to like high B, A, and S tier. And again, that like the odds of you fighting agents who will ignore your wall has risen high enough, and on top of that, it is weaker and quicker to break, and that was her trump card, and that's been reduced, right? That is gone down, so that's why I bumped her from A to B, but the rest of her kit is still solid, which is why I wouldn't knock her below average either. The last agent in B tier is Veto, our latest agent to Valorant, if you're not going to count the Harbor rework. I think Veto, you know, even when he first was, like, even I thought he was going to be really, really strong, but it was followed up with them already nerfing abilities, so having to counter utility spam wasn't as potent. I think Veto is strong for reasons that none of us really expected. The trip is fine, it's solid, not overpowered, maybe even like kind of on the weaker side for trip, but still it's solid. And then his ult is great if you're popping off, so you still got that Reyna power fantasy without being only Reyna. Again, I keep hating on Reyna for obvious reasons. Is that if you pop off, great, you can still play Veto, you can get that ult, and you can keep snowballing. But if you're not popping off, you have other utility to help you. And the last piece that really made him strong is that double TP. It's being able to do really cool TP setups where you can rotate quick, you can pop around a site multiple, you can literally hold multiple angles. You can literally up, tuck, and then TP away. People are doing that, and he's not a duelist, but you're able to do that. And that's what's making Veto strong. He teeters between B+ or A- back and forth. I think the TP, when I think about the TP, I want to put him in A, just because TPs are so strong in the game right now. But at the same time, I still feel you got to pop off to make that ult happen. So it's not like inherently just strong on its own. Your util still affects the rest of your team. And his signature ability, which we all thought was going to be overpowered, is more just a nuisance. You hear it, you just hold on to your ability. It can delete ultimates, but I personally haven't seen it have huge impact in my games yet, like personally. And he's already been out for a while. I hear like a lot of people can just shoot it as well very easily. So it's been underwhelming. That signature ability has been underwhelming, which is why I'm putting him right down the center in B. Some stuff are really strong, some stuff are meh. They sort of even each other out. Now we head up into the fun categories. A tier. Now A tier, I think everyone here is good. They're good for different reasons. Some meta, some just how they are. I'll give you like everything here is just, I genuinely think they're great agents to play, and some are even unexpected. Leading the A tier is actually Wayley, and I did not expect to have Wayley this high up. Wayley for the longest time was extremely underpowered, and it goes to show that even though Wayley actually was one of the agents that got nerfed, because of everything else that changed in the game, the way the meta shifted just allowed her to be more prominent. I still was on the teetering, or sorry, on the edge. Sometimes I say stupid shit. I was still on the edge of putting her in A tier. Sometimes I feel she's not that strong and I want to put her in B tier, but then I go up against a good Wayley and then I want to put her A tier. And again, this is still part personal experience, part opinionated, and I believe she has that strength to go in, find info, maybe find a kill, jump out, or go in, find info, jump out. And it's really, you're going to see this trend here. If you can do something and disappear, you're pretty strong in this current meta, and some agents more than others. Wayley with that slow and the ult to lead the team in is really good. Like, just learning some amount of ways to hit those really insane slow lineups is crazy. I'm not saying I'm not saying you gotta find pixel lineups. You don't with Wayley, but you can find some very simple stuff like using your sound barrier, running and throwing to get you can get that slow into corners to clear really easily. And that ease of use is so strong when you accompany it with the dash, right? Like, what's the worst? There's no one in that corner. You cleared it and you jump back. What's the best case? You clear it, kill them, and jump back. Like, it's really good. It's really, 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 really good. Wayley is genuinely strong for the reasons of her being able to take space and a lot of power lacking in stopping agents who take space, which is a theme as we enter A and S tier, which follows through with the next agent, which is Raze, right? Being able to double satchel and take a lot of space, having a nade clear one section, having a boombot clear the other as you run down the middle is really strong, seriously. And also Raze was one of the few that basically didn't get any changes during the Reckoning, right? They almost no changes whatsoever, and she was already pretty strong, and in a world where the meta shifted in her favor and she wasn't touched, it solidified her as A tier, right? Again, being able to take space. The only reason she's not even S is just because she doesn't have that ability to pick and run. Otherwise, she would likely, actually even then, I don't know if she'd be S, but she's already strong, honestly. She's really, really strong due to the fact that she's one of the best at taking space. I would still put Wayley in front of her because, like Raze, takes space. But unlike Raze, that ult is a little bit easier to kind of flush into a site with your team, and I really still like that idea of team initiating. And with like the less that can stop you, the stronger your initiate is, the better. So Wayley still outbeats Raze, but I can't in good conscience put Raze in like B tier just because of that, because she's still strong. We continue the idea here with Phoenix. Phoenix is an A tier very easily. Phoenix has, I just did a video on Phoenix. It didn't do that great, but basically I just insta-locked Phoenix for 24 hours. I learned the guy. I always thought he was strong. I even put him in A tier, all my previous tier lists, so it's not recency bias, but I just think he was already A tier. There's no reason he can't be A tier and even stronger in a meta where taking that space is more forgiving due to the fact that less things are stopping you. You You can hop in with your ults, only 6 ult points. You get all your health and your shield back. You can heal or flush with the molly. You can block vision or heal or do damage with your wall. The flash recharge is crazy. Like, flashing early almost has no punishment. Like, you're throwing if you're not flashing every time you swing a corner, because of like think of it as a gamble, right? You flash a corner and you swing with it. If you swing dry and you die, you're gonna lose everything. You're dead. You can't use your kit. If you flash and swing, no one's there. Then you flash and swing again, odds are someone is there. And even if not, you have wall and molly to flush another corner, and by the third corner, someone's likely there. You get a kill, you get 2, you get your flashback. You just have so much flash, so much going on with Phoenix that keeps him consistently able to take space, play aggressive, and I just believe it is an aggressive meta. I like it. That's my playstyle. It's not everyone's playstyle, but for me, I'm lucky. Right now, it is an aggressive meta, and I think Phoenix lands there really, really well. A little bit of a broken record, but next up we have Jett, and I have not much new to add to Jett. She was always strong before due to the fact that you can op, dash away, or you can throw your smoke and jump forward, take space, play aggressive, and all this is just more rewarded in the current meta. So for all those reasons, she's going to remain in A tier. Just being able to instantly smoke yourself off, which is also really, really useful, because as much as it's an operator meta for you, meaning you can op and dash away, you get to also smoke off enemy ops and dash towards them to break that space. So she kind of has the best of both worlds due to that meta change. And again, anyone who's taking space effectively and is able to play aggressive and frag out due to that aggression is, you know, is going to be strong right now. So A tier easily. Breaking it up from Duelist, we're actually going to be putting Sova in A tier. There's 2 initiators that are pretty good in the game right now, one of which is Sova. Sova, again, I already mentioned it before, but being able to gather information has taken a hit, right? Like, Cypher is less prominent. A lot of the other agents aren't able to do so. They took it away from Vyse. Skyie for a long, long time can't do it. So you need more information, and Sova is, of course, untouched in that sense. You've got that dart that's going to come back up. You got that drone, and you got to play off that information with taking space, right? Clearing with shock dart or pushing with your ult. So now you've got info and you're taking space with those 2, which benefits your Duelists, which are already really strong, because what did I say? Good ass executes, and playing that execute well and aggressive is fantastic, and a well-placed dart is going to clear a lot for your Duelists to take space, and those Duelists are so strong. So solo or duo, it doesn't matter, because even if I'm on my own, I know what a Sova dart does, and it is clearing certain areas for me, and I know what to do based off of it. That simplicity makes Sova so strong. And I mean, I don't think I gotta explain more. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's gonna make sense as I roll straight into the next one, because a lot of similar explanation. Fade is great. I like Fade a ton, and it's the same idea. You've got that eye, you got those dogs. The ult's even better at clearing that site in a wide area and pushing all together. You got to follow that trail. Who gets to follow that trail? Not only you, but your Duelists, who are right now really, really strong. So I like how even in solo and duo, playing for yourself and for your team in the simplest way possible to make those executes as simple and effective as possible is the meta. That is how I'm seeing it. And for that reason, both Sova and Fade are the end of A tier for, to me, clear reasons. Very clear reasons. Let's roll into the S tier. Next up, we got my main, my boy, Yoru. Now, Yoru is strong. He got nerfed one of the hardest because he saw a lot of pro play, and I don't like nerfing based off pro play. None of those emotions have changed since my previous video. With that being said, though, Yoru is still so strong, and even though they reeled in the flash, and the big one is the ult, it's just that the meta is so good for him. TPs are so strong right now, and he has 2 of them. He can quick rotate. They last so long. I'm holding both sides. I'm never holding one side. I'm holding both sides. I should technically be unbiased, because I shouldn't be calling my own agent like overpowered. And to some extent, he takes enough skill to not teeter on overpowered, not like chamber meta overpowered. You know what I'm trying to say? But the minute you learn to play him decently well, he is so strong. The pop flashes are fantastic. They're nothing special compared to a lot of other flashes in the game, but they have some amount of creativity that makes it harder for other players to dodge 100%. You can pop flash out of a smoke, sure, most agents can, but you can also pop flash out of areas that are kind of impossible for other Duelists, and that TP can be used aggressively or defensively. It is much stronger used defensively. The clone still tricks a lot of people. I just think Yoru sort of has a curve though, and that ult attack, like the change to the ult affects different ranks, in my opinion, for different reasons. With that being said, though, worst case comes to worst, I am still using that ult to execute and take space. And what did I say is good in the meta right now? Executing and taking space. You know what? Even if I'm all alone, assuming there's one other duelist with me, being it a Jett, a Raze, a Wayley, if I ult and I allow them to play off my ult, it's enough to sort of forget the nerf. Now, if you're the last one standing, it is harder to 1v5. Basically impossible. I used to use that ult to pop flash out, get a pick, TP out, and wither down the enemy. I can't do that anymore. But he basically just went from S+ to S. That's what happened. And he would have went down more if it wasn't for the meta and other changes that happened to everyone else. Next up, we got Omen. So Omen, in my opinion, has always been S tier, and I still think he is S tier. I just think he's one of the best solo controller. I've said that for so long. And you know what? In this meta, with all these changes, something that hasn't been hit was smokes. Now, Omen was hit because of the near sight nerf, and I mean, I know some people were like upset about that, but like I don't think Omen's strong suit was throwing the near sight and swinging with a Spectre. Leave that to the Yoru and duelists of the world. You have the option to play aggressive by creating different distances due to teleports. Again, teleports are very strong. You're able to be in a lot of different locations with your ultimate, and it's the combination of this that makes him strong. It's the combination of being able to play aggressive, play the map, smoke where you need to smoke, and change the shape of how the current match is playing out, right? Be it both on defense or attack. Like, smokes are always important. I think they're even more important in a world where operators and fast executes are out. You need to be able to control what is seen and not seen. You can play ratty and do surprises. You can play your execute with your team by throwing the more traditional smokes that block off enemy sight lines, TP into areas to clear certain corners with your paranoia. I think Omen is just strong. Any sort of aggression in this game is strong, but you still need controllers. So aggressive controller equals strong, therefore S tier, which will lead you really quick into the next one. You can all see it coming, Clove. Clove was already really strong. Smokes are already really needed. Self-sustain and playing aggressive is amazing. It is just a recipe for Clove to probably be the best agent in the entire game. Now, I was yapping pre-nerf, but I still think everything I say holds true. You can heal yourself, get that speed buff, play aggressive. You die, low-key, it's okay. You can still smoke for your team. Or you can come back and try again. And then if you die, you can still smoke for your team. Very forgiving. Very strong, a lot of unique plays, good skill expression. Omen has more, but still, good skill expression. Clove is strong as heck. Clove is obviously very strong, so my S tier, while short, makes sense because I think Yoru is just a cut above the other duelists due to the fact of that double TP, to make that clear, due to the fact for the double TP. And then Omen and Clove are very unique in being the best aggressive controllers, which is why I reserve them for S tier. Now again, disclaimer, that was before the Clove nerfs. I don't think bringing down the smoke to 1 after Clove dies and the heal to 50 will affect Clove that aggressively. It might bump her down to A, maybe, but still, only Clove can play aggressive and heal themselves as a controller, and then even if you die, you can still smoke. Either way, last but not least, Harbor. I saved him for the end because when I was first commentating, the Harbor rework wasn't out, but since then I insta-locked him. We've been playing the Harbor rework now. I don't know the consensus. Truly, I need to delay this video like a month to really understand if he's going to be prevalent in the meta. So I'm going to be as transparent as possible, be as honest as possible, and explain this as first impressions. I think as a controller, he is at least finally viable. Like, he's not a troll pick, just because now that they switched that smoke to an Omen style smoke, you can at least keep up with the other controllers. His ult is low-key a little bit worse in the sense that you'll always be able to find value with the original ult, but in a solo queue perspective, using that wall and pushing with it, I did it a few times. I don't play Harbor. It did not take me long to catch on. I like how it lets us play aggressive, and as you've heard me yap, aggressive controllers right now are a good thing. This also follows suit with the fact you can now like lob a nade style projectile to slow and blind and then push with it. That's a huge thing. And then using the long wall will then fill the gap that, of course, let's say Viper already was a pick, but Viper isn't good except in certain maps. Well, now Harbor can pick up Viper's slack, while in my opinion definitely being better than Viper now. So I don't know. Personally, I think it's good. And then that whole Omen smoke style, I know you only get one smoke, but then you can reinforce it. There was plenty of times where I was able to throw it up ahead and then reinforce it for teammates to be able to defuse. Like, you can set up your teammate. With all that being said, do I think he's like A or S tier? I'm gonna hold my horses on that one. I don't quite think he's like up there, but it is really cool that they brought someone from the dead, and in my opinion, I'd put him in B tier. And I think that's just a safe call from my end because he's not useless. That'd be unfair. You can pick him up. You can play him effectively. I don't play controller. I don't play Harbor. I picked him up top fragged and was able to win some games. So I think solid. I think overall solid, but I would be hesitant to jump the gun and like rank him too high either. So it's a little bit of a cop out and putting him in B, somewhere in the middle. In conclusion, you know, a lot of people don't show their agent tier list at the end, and some people get upset at that. Just in case you don't know, these videos take a lot of work, and when anyone clicks the video and skips straight to the end just to see one picture, which is like the total list, it can hurt the video. But in this case, I'm gonna gamble hurting the video instead of hurting your guys' time. So feel free, here's the entire tier list. Go back, watch the agents you want to find. Hopefully there'll be some chapters, or some goat in the comment is gonna make chapters for every agent as well as who they are anyways. So I'm just gonna put it out there. Usually people hide it, but just hopefully it doesn't backfire and this video still does well. Let's test.